Dan is a retired Hall of Fame football defensive tackle who played 12 seasons for the Chicago Bears from 1979 to 1990. In 1985, he was a member of the Super Bowl winning Bears team, and he was elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2002. Dan's legendary play on the field and his electrifying personality have helped make him a fan favorite as he continues his football career as a TV and radio sports personality and analyst. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Dan Hampton.
Thank you, sir. Very nice. Oh, hey, thank you so much, Shane. Wonderful job. I wrote that out this afternoon. You read it just perfectly. Congratulations to all the award winners tonight. Sir, I greatly appreciate your wonderful comments. And Rory, you're moving to my hometown, Burr Ridge. Permaseal's coming to Burr Ridge. I'm glad to hear that you guys are doing so well. I am also glad that you're on the board because obviously your critique of Steve and his ethics were exactly right about the alligator arms. But I got to know Steve in it's kind of a strange way. I found out that he was calling my wife all the time to go golfing. And it was about 5 years ago finally I meet him and I say, "You're the guy that keeps calling?" But she has been a big supporter of the golf outing. It's a great time. It's a lot of fun. And all I can tell you is I'm glad to see that PNC is doing such a great job. They obviously made a phone call to the Bears and said, we got to cut $20 million of waste. And so they got rid of Mike Glennon yesterday. So that was great to hear. So great job. I appreciate that. Oh, just stick around. It's going to get better. And by the way, the Bears, we're talking about ethics. It's unbelievable that, are you glad John Fox is out of town? Just tell me, yes or no? We've got a new coach. I'm very excited about the fact that we're heading in a new direction. And by the way, you want to hear a small world story? Shane's mother taught Mitchell Trubisky in 6th grade. How about that? I couldn't believe it when he told me that. But I think we're going to have a lot brighter future with the Bears with this current regime. And, after 3 years of WTF, why trust Fox, I like you, I was about fed up. And finally, when they made the decision to go in another direction, I was extremely happy about that. But more importantly, it's important that a lot of what we've heard tonight is about hard work and doing things the right way. And it's kind of funny. I know a lot of people here in Chicago have heard many times about the '85 Bears, and you may have heard about them. They're a pretty good team, right? Well, there's a lot of reasons why that team has been deemed maybe the greatest team in NFL history. And a few weeks ago, well, actually, it was back in January. The airport closed down, and I was supposed to go to Canton because they were going to release a new movie called '85. Did you hear about it? It was a movie that they put together about that '85 football team in the season, and they were going to do the world premiere in Canton. And even though the airport closed, my son and I jumped in my truck, my Chevy, and we made it to Canton. And I pull up, and I've been driving in a snowstorm, and I'm glad to be there. And I walk in, and there's Jim McMahon standing in the lobby. Jim McMahon. All I keep hearing about is he can't find his way home, and now here he is in Canton. I couldn't believe it. Well, we watched the movie, and it was really good, and it was a lot of fun. And afterwards, we did a little question and answer up on the dais. And anyway, one of the questions that, they were, did Buddy Ryan and Mike Ditka really get in a fist fight in the locker room down in yes. And they said, Jim, you said some derogatory things supposedly about the women of New Orleans. You remember this? And there was death threats on Jim McMahon. Were you scared? And before he answered, I said, no. I said, already that year, Mongo and I threatened to kill him 3 different times. So, it wasn't like he was, worried about that death threat. But that was the kind of football team we had. And as Rob said, when you talk about having an endeavor and a goal, and you have everyone committed to achieving it, man, you never say quit. You never say die. And that team had so many great players and so many great parts of it. But I'm, talking about the achievement and excellence of that team, but it's important for all of us to strive for greatness and great accomplishment. But you have to understand, it comes at a great price. And it's about hard work and great effort. And a lot of people think that being successful in life is about being lucky. Just as kids today, they want to blame or make excuses and say they don't have a certain talent. Well, that's nonsense. Coach Dick has told me many, many times that there were more players in the NFL due to work ethic than talent level. And you talk about Walter Payton, maybe the greatest player in the history of the NFL, certainly one of the handful of the greatest. But he wasn't the biggest guy on the team. He wasn't the strongest or the fastest. Now, I'm not saying he wasn't a great athlete. I saw him play tennis by himself once. Now, think about that. That's pretty good. But Walter was special because he willed himself to be the greatest running back of all time. And when you get around talented people, sometimes it's easy for them to make excuses or alibis. And a lot of times you see people that squander great talent. But the main thing is you find people that are fellow travelers that care enough to make a difference, and they want to become special. That team was special in so many ways, but I'm a big believer in setting goals. Started way back when I was in college, but I'll never forget the first meeting we ever had when Dick was hired. He comes in the meeting room and goes, boy, you guys, you got some good players, but you're clowns. You don't know what you're doing. He goes, I need to know what your goals are. And he said, look, I want to understand what makes you tick, and I want to understand what motivates you. And I'm going to pass out some paper and pencils, and I want you to write down what your goals are, what you want to achieve as a Chicago Bear football player. Now I didn't know what to write down because I hadn't really thought about it. And I look over here, and Doug Plank's writing, I want to make All-Pro, and Gary Fensick's writing, I want to make $1 million a year. I'm sitting next to Mongo McMichael. He's writing, I want to date a honey bear. I didn't know what to write down, so I wrote down, I want to win a world championship. Because in college, I was one play away, and I never won anything in my life, and I desperately wanted to be a champion. So I wrote down, I want to win a world championship. And we passed the paper back in, he's going through it, he goes, which one of you wrote, I want to win a world championship? And I kind of sheepishly, I was the only one, I kind of raised my hand. He goes, that's exactly the attitude we're going to have if we are going to become, indeed, champions. Because we're all going to have to sacrifice for each other. He said, by the way, you misspelled championship. and he said, I don't know if you know it, but they call it the Super Bowl now. So, you need to kind of get up with the times. But the one thing is, we all came together, and we had so many great players. But everybody needs a goal in their life. And the one thing that I think is important about goals are they're the things that make you get up in the morning and do something that a normal person won't even try to accomplish. Bob said, hey, you never say die, you never quit. Man, that's what you got to have. And boy, we had 50 guys that would never say die. For people to be happy in life, they've got to have a couple of things. In fact, 4 things. Everybody needs something to do. Whether it's sealing basements or selling insurance or playing football or teaching school or being a doctor, a lawyer, whatever it may be, running the BBB, everybody needs something to do so that you can strive to be the best at whatever vocation that you have. You need someone to love, your family, your wife. You got to have somebody to love. You got to have somebody to believe in. I believe in Jesus Christ. But the 4th thing is you got to have something to hope for. And I believe that's what goals are. Those are the things that make you go out and achieve something special. My father died when I was 13 years old. I didn't start playing football until I was 17. And yet, I was able to go into the Hall of Fame. And it wasn't all because of me, because I had a lot of special people in my life. But the bottom line was, I was challenged to be the very best I could be. And long ago, I wrote down a bunch of things on a piece of paper that I wanted to accomplish in my life. In college, I said I wanted to be a first-round draft pick. I wanted to make All-American. I wanted to do this. And a lot of those things I've been able to accomplish. But I still have a lot of things that I have yet to accomplish in my life. I turned 60 this past September, and I still got a lot of things I want to do. I want to have dinner at the White House. I want to learn how to fly an airplane. I want to meet Mike Ditka sober. I mean, there's so many things I haven't had a chance to do yet. No, I'm just teasing. We stopped at Ditka's on the way down here tonight, like I always do. And I go upstairs, I go to the bar. You ever been there? Beautiful place. Johnny Vincent sings. I go in and I order a round of drinks for the entire bar. And then I walk out on the tab. It's just like he did on us in the 87 strike. And I always tell him, you see, it comes back. But when you have a team that wants to achieve something special, boy, you got a lot of people that realize how important it is to sacrifice. You know, 2 years ago was a pretty special year for those guys on that team. Now, it's been a long time since we played and we won the Super Bowl. But that team has endured because of a lot of reasons. But 2 years ago, they polled 500 media personalities and radio people, and they came up with the conclusion that the 85 Bears was the greatest team in NFL history. And that was wonderful to hear, but it was validation because, we really felt like we made such an imprint. Then later on that year, the 30 for 30 by ESPN was made. And the young man that made it said that not only was that team special in the NFL, but it changed the way sports, professional sports, was viewed, and it was a magnificent special, and we were very happy to be about it, be a part of it. And then we had our 30-year anniversary get together, and it was great because Buddy Ryan was still able to come back, and he and Coach Dick had kind of patched up the wounds, and were able to get along. And all I could think about was in 1995, I don't know if we're going to all have a chance to get together at the 40th anniversary, but I remember the 10th anniversary like it was yesterday. And it was right down here on Navy Pier. We had it at Riva's. And it was a joyous occasion. And Walter, he came and he looked like he could still play. He looked like a movie star. And boy, we all had a great time. Some guys had gotten heavy. Some guys had lost some hair. Some guys had turned gray. But man, we were all so happy to be there. And then 4 years later, Walter was no longer around. So each and every one of these occasions where we get a chance to get together, it only basically tells us how important, that time was for all of us. And as each and every one here tonight, you're in the world of business. You know what it's about. It's about the bottom line. It's about going out and achieving your objectives. And anytime you get a bunch of people together, whether it's a school, a charity, an organization, a company, whatever you do, you got to ask 3 questions of the people that you're involved with. Number 1 is, can I trust you? Can I trust you to do the right thing? It's something that every man asks of his wife, every owner of the player, every business owner of the employee. We all want to know, can I trust you to do the right thing? When I'm not here, when I'm not watching you, can I trust you to do the right thing? Second thing is, are you committed to success? Not just make a paycheck, not just go through the motions, not just, play 5 years in the league and then retire. No, are you committed to success? And the third thing is, do you care about me? Do you care enough about me to be there if I need you? When I cannot carry my load, I need you to be there for me. And I'll never forget, moments before we went out on the field in the Super Bowl, and we were all excited about playing, but Ditka gets up and he goes, all right, we're going out in about 8 minutes. I want you to know one thing. I've talked all year about what's important, and I think you know what's important. I just want the captains to stand up and say what this game means to them. And Fensick stood up and he said something about, hey, this is amazing. I never thought I'd be in a Super Bowl. I stood up and I said, you know what? All I can think about is when this game is over, some 3.5 hours from now, either the guy I'm lined up against will wear a Super Bowl ring the rest of his life, or I will. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we will be wearing the World Championship ring. Walter was the last one to stand up. He had tears in his eyes, and he goes, guys, I've had a lot of success individually, but I never thought that I could become a world champion. He goes, there were years that I thought this would never happen. And I know that it's not because of me, it's because of all of us. And it was so special because he did care so much about the team. And that's, when you talk about leadership, that's what you talk about with someone like Walter Payton. That he was a guy that you could trust. He was committed to success, and he did care about each and every one of us individually. But that team was built with special players and special coaches, but it was built by Jim Finks, Mike Ditka, and Buddy Ryan. But just like your business is, you got to build it the right way. We had great offensive linemen, great defensive linemen. We had great running backs. We had speed on the outside. We had a great, a group of linebackers. Just like building a building, you got to build it on a firm foundation, block by block, brick by brick, beam by beam. And that team, even though we only won one Super Bowl, due to a lot of different reasons, and most being the fact we never had a healthy quarterback when we got into the playoffs. But that team won more games in a 5-year period than any team in NFL history, with 7 different starting quarterbacks, because it was built the right way. It reminds me of a poem. It goes like this. I saw a group of men in my hometown prepared to tear a building down. With a heave and a hoe and a mighty yell, they swung a beam and a sidewall fell. I asked this man, are these men skilled? The type you'd hire if you wanted to build. He laughed and said, no, indeed. Common labor's all I need, because I can tear down in a day or two what it took a skilled builder 10 years to do. Now think about this, 91 years the BBB has been in existence. Just think, Virginia McKeskey could have joined when she was 5 years old. Think about that. That's amazing, isn't it? But you guys have withstood the test of time. Because you've done things the right way. You're committed to success, and you care about the individuals. 3 years ago, I got on an airplane with Finsick, and we went down to see Buddy Ryan for the last time. And it was funny what Gary said. He goes, it's been 30 years since we won a world championship. And I said, wow, time flies. He goes, I know. He goes, I was thinking about this, Dan. He goes, I was a rookie in 1975, same year Walter was. And he said, if Bronco Nagurski would have came up to me and said, hey, kid, we won the world championship 30 years ago here, I would have said, who gives a shit, But I said, there's probably some folks that may think that, some people that may believe that maybe it wasn't that big a deal. But I think it was special. And it's special for a lot of reasons. It's special for the people of this wonderful city, the people of Illinois. Because until we find another team that can go and win, we have something that we can believe in. But it does matter. I played 12 years. 9 for Coach Ditka. I played with Walter for 9. And every fall I always think about him when it gets to be like November. Because he and I used to go down and duck hunt. He was from Mississippi, I'm from Arkansas. And we liked duck hunting. We used to go down on the Illinois River. And it was wonderful times, joyous times. But when I see those flocks of geese, I always think about Walter. And these scientists did a study about those geese flying in the V formation. It's pretty interesting stuff. First thing they found out is, flying in that formation, the birds can travel 82% further than if they could flying on their own individually. Man, I said, wow, think about that. You work together to almost twice as much as possible to achieve. Second thing they found out was that bird at the point, right there in the middle that has to break the envelope of air, he's got the toughest job. And consequently, he can only stay at that position a very short period of time, and he has to fall back and another bird has to take his place because it's just too exhausting. And I'm thinking to myself, how true is that? We can't let everybody else do all the heavy lifting. We can't hide when it's time to, clean up. And hey, we all have to share in and do our own, share of work. We can't just expect everybody else to do it. We've all got to work together. Third thing they found was those birds, you hear them up there honking. And I thought they were cutting up like Mongo and I in the back of the film room laughing at people getting blown up on the film. But they're not. They're encouraging that bird at the point. They're saying, let's keep it up, you're doing great. Let's go. They're encouraging. And how many of us like a pat on the back? How many of us like to have somebody say, hey, you know what, Bob, you did a hell of a job this week. Fred, that basement, those people are thrilled. You did an amazing job. We all like to have somebody pat us on the back and give us a word of encouragement. Fourth thing they found out is if a bird ever leaves the formation for any length of time, it's relatively short time, because you know why? They find out it's too tough. It's too tough to cut it by themselves. And all of a sudden that bird, boy, they'll come right back. And we all know people like that in our line of work. Hey, you know, they want to go off on their own tangent, like, you know, like McMahon and all this, you know. Hey, everybody thinks they got all the answers until they find out, hey, it's a lot harder to cut it when you don't have the team with you. But if a bird ever has to leave the flock due to sickness, health, or injury, it will be taken to the ground and accompanied by 2 other birds, where they will stay there and tend to its needs and nourish it until it either regains its ability to fly or it perishes. Now think about that. If these birds are that smart to be able to know instinctively, to care about those amongst us that need the help, that are less fortunate than ourselves, boy, then how can we not do the same thing? And that's what you being a part of the golf tournament and supporting those scholarships and every other different charity occupation and organization that you belong to. By the way, the commander, Paul, Bauer, they're having a fundraiser for his family tomorrow night at, what's the name of the place? Watermark on Michigan Avenue. Yours truly will be a bartender tomorrow night. So if you have nothing better to do, come by, support the charity. And I'm trying to get Richard Dent and a few other guys to show up as well. But that's what it's about. Will you take time to care enough about those around you that are less fortunate than ourselves? But the one thing that I'm going to leave you with tonight is the fact that we all have a need to accomplish things in our life. To be a part of that team was a great part of my life. But my life didn't end when I retired. And ultimately, I do know this, that there's never a right time to do the wrong thing, and never a wrong time to do the right thing. So if you go out and you keep doing the right thing over and over again, sooner or later, it pays off. Maybe you can be a world champion. But I'll leave you with this prayer that we used to say before and after every game. It goes like this. God has given me this day to use as I will, but what I do today is important because I'm exchanging a day out of my life for it. When tomorrow comes, this day will be gone forever, leaving that in its place which I have traded for. I want it to be gain, not loss, good, not evil, success, not failure, in order that I shall never regret the price I've paid for it. Because in the end, this future is nothing more than a whole string of nows. Again, congratulations to each and every one of the winners tonight. Thank you all for coming. Stop by tomorrow night over at Watermark, and God bless Steve and the BBB. Thank you, guys.